Good morning, students. This is session 1 of 7th Standard Social Science, History, 4th Unit, the Delhi Sultanate. So, children, listen carefully to this session. In case of any doubts, make a note of it, which shall be clarified on the day of reopening. So, the Delhi Sultanate period started with the slave dynasty between the time period of 1206 to 1290. So, the Delhi Sultanate period, it started with the slave dynasty, and the slave dynasty was established by Muhammad Ghori. So, Muhammad of Ghori, you have seen in History 2nd Unit, Emergence of New Kingdoms in North India, where it defeated Prithviraj Chauhan. So, Prithviraj Chauhan belongs to Chauhan dynasty. So, the Muslim rule in India was established by Muhammad Ghori in 12th century AD. So, the Muslim rule in India was established by Muhammad of Ghori by defeating the Chauhan ruler, that is Prithviraj, and he left his slave Qutbuddin Aibak to look after the center, that is Delhi, and he went to Afghanistan. So, later after his death, Qutbuddin Aibak, he proclaimed himself as the ruler of Delhi. So, we have seen this in the 2nd unit. Then, as he had no sons, he nurtured special slaves called Bandagan, a Persian term used for slaves purchased for military service. As Muhammad of Ghori had no sons, he trained some special slaves, especially for military service, and those special slaves are referred as Bandagan. So, the special slaves trained by Muhammad of Ghori are referred as Bandagan. It is a Persian term used for slaves. Then, these slaves were posted as governors as they were later raised to the status of sultans. So, these slaves are given a post of governor. Later, after the death of Ghori, they were raised to the status of sultans. Then, after Ghori's death in 1206, one of his slaves, Qutbuddin Aibak, who had been left behind by Muhammad Ghori to govern the territories he had conquered, proclaimed himself the ruler of Turkish territories in India. So, after the Ghori's death in 1206, one of the notable slave of Muhammad of Ghori is Qutbuddin Aibak. So, he left behind in India to look after his territory. So, after Ghori's death, Qutbuddin Aibak declared himself or proclaimed himself as the ruler of all the Turkish territories in India. So, this is how the slave dynasty was formed. Qutbuddin Aibak laid the foundation of the slave dynasty. So, children, make a note of it. Qutbuddin Aibak, he laid the foundation of slave dynasty because he is a notable slave of Muhammad of Ghori, and after Ghori's death, he started to rule the Delhi. Then, his dynasty is also known as Mamluk dynasty. So, this slave dynasty is also called Mamluk dynasty. So, Mamluk is an Arabic word meaning slave. So, children, slave dynasty is also called Mamluk dynasty, where Mamluk is an Arabic word which means slave. So, the slave dynasty ruled the subcontinent for about 84 years. So, this slave dynasty ruled the subcontinent. So, subcontinent is India for about 84 years. And the three notable slaves are Qutbuddin Aibak, then Shamsuddin Iltutmish, and then Ghiyas-uddin Balban. So, these are the three notable rulers: Qutbuddin Aibak, Shamsuddin Iltutmish, Ghiyas-uddin Balban. So, the three notable rulers of the slave dynasty. First, let's see about Qutbuddin Aibak. The time period is between 1206 to 1210. So, Qutbuddin Aibak, the time period is 1206 to 1210, that is after the death of Muhammad Ghori. So, Qutbuddin Aibak began his rule by establishing Lahore as the capital of his kingdom Later he shifted his capital to Delhi. So Aibak began his rule by establishing Lahore as his capital, and later he shifted his capital to Delhi. So capital means administrating place. Then Qutbuddin Aibak left the conquest of the eastern Gangetic plain, Bihar and Bengal to the care of Bakhtiyar Khalji. So Qutbuddin Aibak, he left the conquest of the eastern Gangetic plains, that is Bihar and Bengal, to Bakhtiyar Khalji. So Bakhtiyar Khalji is one of his commander in the military. Aibak built Quethul Islam Masjid mosque in Delhi. This mosque is considered to be the oldest in India. So children, Aibak built the Quethul Islam Masjid mosque in Delhi, and this mosque is the oldest mosque in India. Then he also laid the foundation of Qutb Minar, but he was unable to complete it. So Qutbuddin Aibak, he laid the foundation, that is he laid the basement for Qutb Minar, but he was unable to complete it because he died before completing the construction of Qutb Minar. Then Qutb Minar was later finished by his son-in-law and his successor Iltutmish. So Qutb Minar was later completed, that is the construction was later completed by his successor, and he is his son-in-law named Iltutmish. Aibak died of injuries received during an accidental fall from a horse while playing polo in 1210. So Qutbuddin Aibak, he died because of injuries which he got because of falling down from the horse while playing polo in 1210. So after him, that is Qutbuddin Aibak, was succeeded by a son-in-law named Iltutmish. So the time period is 1210 to 1236. So Aibak was succeeded by his son-in-law named Iltutmish. His time period is 1210 to 1236. Aibak's son Aram Shah proved incompetent, and so the Turkish nobles chose Iltutmish, the son-in-law of Aibak, as the Sultan, who served as a military commander of Aibak. So Qutbuddin Aibak's son Aram Shah was not capable to rule the territory. So the Turkish nobles chose Iltutmish, the son-in-law of Qutbuddin Aibak, as a Sultan of Delhi. So before that he was a military commander in the Qutbuddin Aibak's army. So I hope you are clear. As the Aibak's son Aram Shah was not capable, the Turkish nobles chose Iltutmish as the Delhi Sultan. Then Iltutmish firmly established his control over the territories by suppressing rebellions. So he established peace in his territories by suppressing all the revolt from the people. It was during his reign that the threat of Mongols under Genghis Khan loomed large over the frontiers of India. So during Iltutmish period, Genghis Khan attacked his kingdom many times and he overcome all these threats. So Iltutmish overcome all the threats from the Mongols, and he averted the impending danger by refusing to provide shelter to Qazim Shah Jalaluddin, who had been driven out by Genghis Khan, and further he avoided the war by refusing to provide shelter to Qazim Shah Jalaluddin, who had been sent out by the Genghis Khan. So he avoided to give shelter to him. So he avoided unnecessary war. In order to counter the possible attack of the Mongols, Iltutmish organized Turkish nobility into a select group of 40 nobles known as Chelangani or the 40. So as a safeguard measure, Iltutmish established a group of 40 members, and that group is called Chelangani or the 40. So it is a safeguard measure against the attack of the Mongols. And then Iltutmish granted Ikta. So Iktas means land to members of his army. So Ikta is a land granted to the army officials in lieu of a regular wage. So Iltutmish, he granted land to the members of his army. So it is a land which is granted to the army officials at a regular wage, on the basis of regular wage. So ikta means land. And then the ikta holders are called iktadar or mukti, who had to provide the sultan with military assistance in times of war. So the ikta holders are called iktadar. So the land owners are called iktadar or mukti, and they have to provide special military assistance in times of war to the Delhi Sultan. Then the iktadar collected revenue from his ikta to meet the cost of maintaining his troops and horses. So iktadar means who? Iktadar means the owner of the land are referred as iktadar. So he collected revenue by maintaining his troops, soldier troops as well as horses, and then he will provide it to the Delhi Sultans during the war times. So he collected revenue by maintaining the troops and horses, and he will provide it to the Delhi Sultan during the war time. So I hope you are clear. And then Iltutmish, he completed the construction of Kutub So Iltutmish, he completed the construction of Kutub which had been started by Aibak. So children, Qutb-ud-Din Aibak, he laid the foundation, but the construction was completed by his son-in-law Iltutmish. So keep this in mind. And then Iltutmish died in April 1236, that is 1236, after ruling for about 26 years. So Iltutmish, he died in April 1236 after ruling the Delhi for about 26 years. So now let's move on to the next Delhi Sultan, that is Razia, whose time period is between 1236 to 1240. So the next powerful Delhi Sultan, a female Delhi Sultan, is Razia, whose time period is 1236 to 1240. As the most capable son of Iltutmish, named Rukn-ud-Din Firuz, died. So the most capable son of Iltutmish, named Rukn-ud-Din Firuz, died. Iltutmish nominated his daughter Razia Sultana as his successor to the throne of Delhi. So as the capable son of Iltutmish died, he nominated his daughter Razia Sultana to rule Delhi. So she succeeded Iltutmish. Then Razia was an able and brave fighter, but she had a tough time with Turkish nobles as she favored non-Turkish nobles. So she was a brave and able fighter, but she had a tough time with the Turkish nobles because she supported even the non-Turkish nobles. So there arose a conflict between the Turkish nobles and the Razia Sultana because she supported all. Then she also faced the situation of the ferocious Mongols raiding Punjab during her reign. So she also faced a situation to fight against the Mongols who raided Punjab during her period. And then Razia made an Ethiopian slave named Jalal-ud-Din Yaqut as her personal attendant and started trusting him completely. So Razia, he made an Ethiopian slave. His name is Jalal-ud-Din Yaqut as her personal attendant. So as a personal assistant, and she started trusting him completely. So she ruled Delhi along with her personal assistant named Jalal-ud-Din Yaqut. So this was also another reason for the conflict between the Turkish nobles and Razia Sultana. This led to a revolt of Turkish nobles who conspired against her and got her murdered in 1240. So this led to a revolt of the Turkish nobles and she got murdered in the year 1240. So the main reason is she supported all the non-Turkish nobles and she made an Ethiopian slave as her personal assistant. So after Razia, Ghiyas-ud-Din Balban succeeded the throne. So after Razia Sultana, Ghiyas-ud-Din Balban became the Sultan of Delhi. His time period was 1266 to 1287. So the time period of Ghiyas-Uddin Balban was 1266 to 1287. After Razia, 3 weak rulers in succession ascended the throne. So after Razia, 3 weak rulers succeeded the throne. After them only came Ghiyas-Uddin Balban. So after Razia, 3 weak rulers came and the 3 weak rulers were succeeded by Ghiyas-Uddin Balban. So the most prominent Delhi Sultan after Razia Sultana was Ghiyas-Uddin Balban. Balban abolished the 40 as it was not hostile to him. So the 40 system was established by Iltutmish. So he established the 40. But Balban abolished this system. Instead of that, Ghiyas-Uddin Balban established a department of spies to gather intelligence about the conspirators and the troublemakers against his rule. So he abolished the 40 and he established a department of spies to gather the information from his enemy territories. Then, Tughril Khan, a provincial governor in Bengal, who raised a banner of revolt against Balban, was captured and beheaded. So, Tughril Khan, he was a province governor in Bengal and he raised a banner against the Ghiyas-Uddin Balban. So, Balban got angry and he captured him and he beheaded him. That means he cut off his head. So, he was a cruel Delhi Sultan. He was ruthless in dealing with enemies like Muaz of Mewat, a Muslim Rajput community from the northwestern India. So he was ruthless in dealing with enemies. So he didn't showed any mercy in dealing with enemies like the Muaz of Mewat, a Muslim Rajput community from the northwestern India. So he was a cruel ruler. And then Balban, however, took care to maintain cordial relationship with the Mongols. He obtained from Hulagu Khan, a grandson of Genghis Khan, the Mongol viceroy in Iran, the assurance that Mongols would not advance beyond Sutlej. So, however, Ghiyas-Uddin Balban was a cruel king, yet he maintained a cordial, so cordial means a friendly relationship with the Mongols, and he obtained a Mongol viceroy from Hulagu Khan. So Hulagu Khan is the grandson of Genghis Khan. So they are the rulers of Mongolia. So he obtained a Mongol viceroy from Hulagu Khan in Iran that Mongols would not advance beyond Sutlej. So they assured that the Mongols will not attack the territories beyond the Sutlej. So he maintained a friendly relationship with the Mongols. Then Balban built forts to guard his empire against the Mongol attacks. So he built fort to guard his empire against the attack from the Mongols. And then he was patronized by a famous Persian poet called Amir Khusro. So he was patronized by a famous Persian poet called Amir Khusro. Then Balban died in 1287. So Balban died in 1287. Balban's son Kaikubad turned out to be weak. So after his death, Balban's son Kaikubad, he turned out to be weak. So he was a weak ruler. Then in 1290, Malik Jalaluddin Khalji, the commander of the army, assumed the office of Naib, a deputy of Sultan, and ruled the kingdom in the name of Kaikubad. So after the death of Ghiyas-Uddin Balban, the son Kaikubad was very weak ruler. Hence, Malik Jalaluddin Khalji, he took the responsibility to rule the territories in the name of Ghiyas-Uddin Balban's son Kaikubad. So he ruled the territory in the name of Kaikubad. Next, Jalaluddin. So then one day Jalaluddin sent one of his officers and had Kaikubad murdered. Jalaluddin then formally ascended the throne. With him began the rule of Khalji dynasty. So one day Jalaluddin sent a person to kill Kaikubad. So Kaikubad is the son of Ghiyas-Uddin Balban and Jalaluddin formally became the ruler of Delhi by killing Kaikubat. So with him only Khalji dynasty started. So Jalaluddin is the commander in the army of Ghiyas-Uddin Balban. So this is a different dynasty. So with him began the rule of Khalji dynasty. So children, we have come to an end of this session. So today's topic are covered in the textbook pages starting from page number 143 to 145. So now it's time for questions. So let's see some evaluation questions. In case of any doubts, you can refer the old session video once again, or else you can refer your textbook. So let's see the questions. So first one is, who laid the foundation of Mamluk dynasty? Qutb-ud-Din shifted his capital to Delhi from which place? Who completed the construction of Qutb Minar? Fourth question. Name the land granted to army officials in lieu of a regular wage. Fifth question. Quwwatul Islam Masjid in Delhi was built by which Delhi Sultanate? So children, try to answer all these questions in the notebook which you are maintaining for social science. So in our next session, that is in next video, we can see about the Khalji dynasty, the Tughlaq dynasty, Lodi dynasty and Sayyid dynasty. Thank you.